Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United facing Brighton in the Premier League, the Danny Welbeck derby. Joining me for her debut on the, not your debut on the channel, but debut in the studio, is Tyla Hoyle, who's been doing some predictions for us. Tyla, we were just chatting off camera then, and we were saying this preview could have been a whole lot worse, couldn't it, if last night, if the game against Southampton had gone the way it looked like it was going to go.
I think I was sat there last night just watching it. I think for 70 minutes I was like, this is going to be a bit of a depressing conversation. But I'm glad we've got a win. We'll take it on the chin and hopefully go into Sunday with a little bit more of optimism than we did against Southampton.
Well, this is it. We've gone from a relegation 6-pointer, now we're into the mid-table 6-pointers against Brighton. But before we talk about Brighton, we mentioned the Southampton game. Obviously, the man of the hour was Ahmad. A hat-trick, summed him up really, kept going. What did you make, not just of his performance against Southampton, but of him this season? Because this is a player that, earlier on in the season, under Eric Ten Hag, it looked like he didn't quite fancy him.
Well, I think it's crazy because you look at Eric Ten Hag's selection and him choosing Anthony, obviously brought him in, and I think he just neglected the fact that he had Ahmad and such a talent on the bench, just constantly week in, week out. And I don't think it was until he went on loan to Sunderland where he was like, well, we've actually got talent here. Now, obviously, Ruben's come in, he's seen it, and he's been like, well, this guy's mint. Get him some minutes. And I think when I was watching him, I went to Rude, the Leicester game, and when he brought him on, I think then I was like, this guy's got to play. So I'm happy for him, really happy for him. I think he deserves it. And I think this is the proudest I've been of a player in United in a very long time, to be quite honest. So I'm glad it was him.
No, I am as well. And he does that thing, doesn't he? He just kept going, keeps going. I always think he must be a horrible player to play against because he just doesn't let anyone rest, does he? The defenders are just on the case all the time.
I saw I think it was a post on Instagram or Facebook the other day, and it was like, if you're man marking him, you need to be careful and your touch needs to be hot, because if not, he's just going to come in direct and he's going to get a goal. And look what happened last night. Same thing.
He's done it. He's done it against Everton. He's done it against City. He's like nicking the ball. He did it against Spurs. No, long may it continue. On to less sort of positive. I wouldn't say less positive, but there's a bit more of a sort of discussion going on with other players, such as Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee, and that number 9 position. And we'll get into predicted 11s in a minute. But the number 9 has been a bit of an issue for Manchester United. Højlund's come in. Obviously, he scored, I think, 16 goals last season in all competitions, which is a pretty decent start, especially for a young lad coming into the Premier League for his first season. This season, he struggled a little bit. Zirkzee, obviously, a few weeks ago, he was getting booed by his own fans. I don't agree with that, but he was obviously going through a time of it. Now, he looks a little bit more positive. He obviously did well when he came on against Southampton, did well when he came on against Arsenal. In terms of Zirkzee and Højlund, what do you make of those two? Do you think, is there one out of the two you prefer? Do you think either of them could be good enough?
I think it's a difficult topic, this one, especially with United fans, because, it's always, when you're predicting who's going to start or whatever, it's always week in, week out. It's, if Højlund starts, then maybe Zirkzee will start the next one. I wanted Zirkzee to start last night simply because I think he put in a performance against Arsenal. And it's a shame for Højlund because I think you had mentioned on a previous podcast, I think it was like Højlund was probably thinking, I need to start against Southampton because like Arsenal, like if we can do that, we can do this. But I think the subs last night changed the game, and I'm happy with how Zirkzee held up his players, because you could see that he created the chances for the players to come in and score. Like look at what happened with Eriksen. I mean, Zirkzee provided that space for him to come in, give that pass to Ahmed and 2-1 up.
Yeah, it made me laugh with Zirkzee because he came on, and even though, when the game was getting on and you're 1-0 down, he plays like he's 3-0 up. He doesn't seem like, and I think at times you might be like, to show a bit more interest, but I quite like that. He had that swagger, and he didn't seem phased. Obviously, the issues he's had in terms of some of the fans being against him hasn't bothered him, or he's been able to recover from it, I should say. And he just had a little bit of sort of swagger that's been missing at times.
I think it's good. I think I rate players that can just, they can take the crap off the fans and just go about the day. They just want to play football. I think he came in, took that last penalty against Arsenal, and he was like, right, this is my redemption. This is where I'm going to prove myself. And I think he proved himself last night. I think Højlund struggles a little bit holding his players up. I think I was at the Brentford game in October, and I was at the Stretford end, and you could just see him on the floor. Every time he just tried to hold that player, just to turn around, he was on the floor. And I think Zirkzee did it really well last night. And kind of impressed with him, to be fair. So I do hope he starts against Brighton.
Yeah, I agree with what you said then. We'll get into it then. We'll get into the predicted 11s. We'll start with yours. This is... So I don't know what this says about where we're at or what we've got available or the way the team is playing, but we almost have an identical starting 11. But we'll talk us through yours. So obviously Onana in goal. You've got Martinez, you've got Maguire, and you've got De Ligt. It feels like that back three after Euro yesterday, struggling a little bit, or last night I should say, struggling a bit. That seems like the obvious one to go for.
Yeah. Obviously, as you just mentioned, Euro did struggle last night. I think Southampton just saw that left wing and saw the space, and they were just going to take every ball and every chance that they could take. So I think for Brighton, we've got Matoma. We can't have that happen. So I've put Maguire in as the centre there. Very good, I think, in Ruben's back three. He seems more confident in the last few weeks, especially against Liverpool. Pretty happy with him. And I think I remember like a few seasons ago, or since he started really, Maguire, every game he's played, as a fan, you're nervous when he gets the ball. I think the last few weeks, especially his teammates, I think, they're passing to him a lot more. He looks more confident. I think he did a great pass to Ahmad last night, I think, towards the end of the game. And it's just taking that confidence, and I think he has to have the confidence in himself just to, be that centre-back that you need. And I think he works really well with Martinez and De Ligt as well there. So hopefully, if Matoma's on that left wing, then De Ligt can keep him at bay. Yeah,
most definitely. In terms of midfield, obviously, Delo as a wing-back comes back in. You'd expect him to start.
Yeah, definitely. I think we know Ruben's kind of, predicted starting 11 now and what we think his best one is. And I do think Mazraoui there and Dalot is perfect for him.
Yeah,
I finds better if that's what he wants.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, because obviously Dalot got that red card against Arsenal, 2 yellows, was suspended for the Southampton game. I expect, like you said, him to come back in. You've gone in the middle. You've gone with Mainu and Ugarte. I thought the only reason we'll get to mine in a minute, I was a little bit sort of on the fence with whether Mainu would start, and I suppose to a lesser extent you could say Ugarte looks a little bit leggy at times against Southampton. Obviously Mainu came off at half time. Do you feel like they'll have enough in the tank to start this game as well, or do you think might need him?
I think, what did they play, 120 minutes against Arsenal? Yeah. So I'm not surprised that Ugarte and Mainu do come off against Southampton. I don't think it was really any fault of their own. I mean, minus Ugarte having his back to the ball on that corner. Obviously making us go 1-0 down. But I think they're a very stable midfield, and you can rely on them. And I think sometimes, if players on that team, are doing quite bad, it's not always them two. Usually I worship the ground those two walk on, to be quite honest. I think they're mint.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's only a select few players for the United team at the minute where they'll actually play for the badge, and I think them two are both of them. So I've played it safe. I know you'll probably get into yours in a minute, but I was tempted to put Collier in. I think against Arsenal, when he came on, he did really well. And playing, I think, half the match last night against Southampton for a young kid to come on, I think he did amazing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does start him just to give Mainu a rest. I don't think he'd take Ugarte off, because I don't think he'd have that young of a midfield in. Again, like, age doesn't matter in United. We've seen people come through the ranks and provide, but I do think Mainu and Ugarte will start. And I'll play it safe.
No, it's fair enough. It's most likely choice would be. It does feel like Casemiro it's not happening for him, is it? Because he's not getting off the bench.
No.
He's not. When I was thinking about predicted teams, I thought I just can't see Casemiro being in that conversation. Front three, you've gone with Bruno, Ahmad, pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. And you've gone with Joshua Zirkzee for the reasons you spoke about earlier with Rasmus Højlund probably dropping to the bench. So my only difference, I brought in Collier. I just feel that maybe Mainu needs a rest. We can forget he's only a kid. Yeah. He's 19 years old? And I know, obviously, Collier's 20, I think he is. He's not much older, but obviously Mainu's played a lot more football. And sometimes you can see, I've noticed it a couple of times with Mainu, when he plays sort of 3 or 4 games, like the fifth game might be a game where he looks a little bit leggy, and I just wonder whether now it might be time to take him out of the firing line. I know Brighton are a good team, so you can't take too many chances, as you said there, about having too weak a midfield. But I think that Collier has shown, Annie, that he's capable of mixing up with anyone.
Definitely. I think, he comes in, I think the subs that Amrin makes, I think we've needed it as a United team. I think we've needed a bit of a ballsy manager to make us up at half-time. I think it took him 6-7 minutes after half-time to take Højlund off and, make the changes. So I think, he comes in, he plays well. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts, to be honest, but it'll be a good one to watch if he does. I'd like to see him play a full game, if not 80 minutes or so.
Yeah, because he had a bit of was it the Liverpool game that he came on, replaced Casemiro? I felt sorry for him there because he was getting a bit of criticism. I was like, imagine coming into that game, comes in against Arsenal. Obviously, I think he played, was it left back or whatever it was against Barnsley. It's been a weird sort of season for him in terms of when he's played, but there's definitely a play there. So hopefully we'll see him being given more opportunities. Before we get into the Brighton game as well, don't forget, get your phones out, film yourself in landscape for 30 seconds, giving us your score prediction, and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we'll use that as part of our pre-match build-up as we did with Tyler, and then, you might be sat in on the next preview. Let's talk about Brighton then. Brighton, who... they're doing all right, actually. I think it's almost like a given in it now that Brighton are a team that are pretty stable, do okay. They're not a team that you look at and go, oh, it's only Brighton. They're always going to give you a decent game. They're just looking at the stats here at the minute. I think where are they in the league? Ninth in the league, yeah. So Brighton, 9th in the league, pretty comfortable. They've got a decent squad. I mean, looking at the amount of goals they've scored, 32 goals scored, 29 conceded. But the one thing that stands out for me, is because I love him, is Danny Welbeck, top scorer. I think he's been injured, but he's been back in the squad now. They've also got Pedro, who obviously caused us problems in the past. He's got, I think, 5 assists as well. So they've got players that are, on the day, capable of causing you problems. Yeah,
I was saying this last night when I was watching the match. I think looking at, a bit of the Brighton game last night against Ipswich, I'm surprised Ipswich didn't win, to be quite honest. They were all over them. I wouldn't be surprised if they were 2-0 up. But, I mean, they won 2-0. But I think if United go into it on Sunday, I have a feeling that it's going to be who turns up on the day. Right. I really do. I think it's going to be who's showing and willing that they want to put in a performance, because it shouldn't be the case of we're waiting for a big game like a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a City game to make the effort and, actually come and deliver and give a result. So I think, players just need to step up, and I think when you've got the likes of Danny Welbeck returning, unfortunately not in a red shirt, but he's going to score against us, no doubt, like he did, I think, in August, as well as João Pedro, if he's not going to kill every player on the pitch, because he just likes to slide tackle, doesn't he? But no, I think we've just got to put our best foot forward, and hopefully we can come out with a win on Sunday.
You're right, because this is a good point, right? Because the thing is, you're right, who turns up? If United turn up against Brighton, we beat Brighton. Let's be honest. If we turn up, no disrespect to Brighton, because they're a good team, they're above us in the table for a reason. But if our players turn up like they did at Anfield, like they did at the Emirates, like they did at the Etihad, I know it wasn't the most amazing game, but we still won, then we are capable of beating the likes of Brighton. But far too often, the last few years, we haven't, have we? And no. Brighton have a pretty decent record against us, even at Old Trafford. I think over the last couple of years they've caused us problems. We've had some bad results against them. So we can't take it for granted. With that being said then, give us your score prediction.
Again, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. Okay.
I think we're going to struggle. I think they've, Brighton, you can see that they've drawn the last few games. Villa just before New Year and Arsenal in the New Year. And I think, obviously, like us with Arsenal and Liverpool, I think it could be a bit of there could be a few goals, but I don't know if we'll win. I'm hoping we do, especially after yesterday. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-2.
That seems pretty reasonable. A draw. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you know what? Right, I'm going to go with a win. I'll go with a United win. I'll go with 2-1 United, and I think that's more my heart than my head. I'm just hoping, and again, it's more hope than expectation, we can build on some of these positive results. Maybe the performance wasn't great against Southampton, but it was still a positive result. And obviously, you go back a little bit further of what we did at the Emirates and at Anfield. Make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know your score predictions. Don't forget as well, if you want to send them to them, you can film yourself in landscape on your phone and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com, and we'll use that as part of our pre-match build-up for the watch-along. Tyler, thanks for coming on the channel. It's been great chatting to you.
It's been great to be here.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a win, and hopefully we win and Danny Welbeck scores, then everyone's happy. That's been Tyler. I've been Jay. This has been a preview of Manchester United versus Brighton. Thanks for watching.